Hi Stories channel here.
Today we are covering a comedy romance movie called Weird Science. The movie starts with two isolated and single teenage boys named Gary and Wyatt staring at girls who are working out. The boys are talking and fantasizing about them. In their fantasies, they are partying and having little night lives with the girls. As they are daydreaming, two older mean boys enter the hall and stand behind them without telling them. They start smirking after hearing Wyatt's and Gary's absurd make-believe scenarios. After that, the boys standing behind there pull the knickers down. The girls stop working out for a bit and look at them. Wyatt tries to apologize, but Gary puts his hand on Wyatt's mouth and they leave. In the next scene, we see Wyatt's parents are out away for the weekend and Gary has come over for a sleepover. While watching a show on television, an idea pops into Gary's mind. He tells Wyatt they should create a girl just like Frankenstein, except cuter. Wyatt resists at first, but after some convincing, he agrees to it. They decide to build a perfect woman as part of their imagination. Wyatt takes out some women magazines from the trunk. They then cut out the parts of the body they want in a real woman from the magazines and insert them into the computer. They hook up a doll with a battery and connect it to the computer. After that, they turn on the lamps and light candles alongside the doll and wear bras on their head for ceremonial formalities. As Wyatt presses the enter key, weird science starts taking place. Clouds turn red and start emitting violent radiation into the house. Striking energy passes through the doll and a violent storm starts to blow out inside the house. The boys panic. Wyatt unplugs the system, but it doesn't work. Gary then picks up a baseball bat and smashes the computer. The bat shatters without damaging the monitor, so Gary tosses it out the window. They then look at the doll, which is missing. Afterwards, the storm settles down, the door starts creaking and explodes. Out of the red fumes, a beautiful girl wearing a skimpy outfit emerges. The boys can't believe what they have created. The girl asks them what they would like to do with her first. We then see all of them showering in the bathroom. In the following scene, Wyatt and Gary suit up for a trip with the girl they have created. As they are coming out of the room, their dresses transform into fancy, embellished new outfits. We then see the girl is driving a car and Wyatt and Gary are sitting with her. They ask her if she can steal it, to which she replies she can get anything she wants. She then asks them to name her as they are going to crack a party. They name her Lisa after Gary's old girlfriend. They enter a club where the crowd looks at them. Gary says they don't belong here as they are not old enough to party at a club. Lisa hands them over fake IDs stating they are over 21. She tells them to just go out there and mingle. We see Gary and Lisa sharing a table with a group well above their age. A man sitting there offers Wyatt a drink. He drinks it hesitantly and after being drunk starts venting how much his crush broke his heart and humiliated him. While joking and battering with the older dudes, he falls on the table. Lisa told Wyatt to hold him up and leave for the house. On their way home, Lisa inquires what Wyatt is going to tell his brother about her. He tells her not to worry. She insists that she should think of something because his brother is a bully. Next, we see Wyatt's older brother named Chet berating him as he's skewed and late. He threatens to tell his mom and dad unless Wyatt agrees to pay him $175 in cash by tomorrow morning. Going upstairs, Chet once again encountered Wyatt holding up Gary and starts tormenting them. Wyatt puts Gary to sleep and comes outside looking for Lisa. She comes from behind and starts kissing him. The next morning, the boys wake up from their nap. They start questioning whether last night was a dream or not. Meanwhile, Lisa is preparing breakfast. She calls them down for brunch. Wyatt, dressed in Lisa's clothes, comes downstairs to the kitchen. He tells Lisa she doesn't have any money to pay Chet as he promised, so she should do some magic or get it from somewhere. Lisa advises him to take a stand against him as it's affecting his sex life. Chet enters the kitchen and asks for his money. He explains to Wyatt that it's beyond payment now, and he will take his VCR as payoff. Later in the day, the pair goes to a mall with Lisa. Being confident, they talk to a girl on a counter without any shyness. In the meantime, Lisa is shopping for lingerie. As they are waiting for her, the same old mean boys named Ian and Max spot them and spill their drink on them. Afterwards, Ian and Max see Lisa on the escalator. They follow her on her way out and introduce themselves to her. She tells them she's waiting for her ride. Gary drives up in the car, stops at the entrance, and calls Lisa to get in. Lisa gives a kiss to Gary and hops inside the car. While driving away, Lisa invites the boys to a party at Wyatt's house and asks them to pass the word around. Gary gives her a kiss and drives off. Wyatt, being scared of his parents, requests Lisa to call off the party. She refuses and asks him to stop worrying. Lisa then heads off to Gary's house to pick them up. At his house, his parents and Lisa have a dispute over giving him permission to go to the party. His father tries to call the police, and Lisa threatens him by pointing a gun at him. He gives the approval and they leave for the party. Gary seems a little upset at his father because he will ground him after this stunt. Lisa assures him nothing bad is going to happen since she did a spell on them and they won't remember a thing. Later at Wyatt's house, Lisa and the boys are waiting for the guests to show up. The doorbell rings and Lisa opens the door. A crowd of hundreds of youngsters greet them and rush inside the house. After witnessing this, Wyatt anxiously falls to the ground. We then see people dancing, drinking, and Lisa serving them food. Ian and Max, with their girlfriends named Deb and Hilly, join the party. Meanwhile, Wyatt is having stomach problems and Gary is accompanying him upstairs to the bathroom. Deb and Hilly wander around the house and knock on the restroom door where the pair is hiding. Gary opens the door and closes it immediately after seeing the ladies outside. The girls want to come in, and after a moment, Gary lets them. They start chatting and introducing themselves. Wyatt and Gary can be seen nervous as they are standing voiceless and shaking. The girls ask the pair to excuse them for a moment. Wyatt and Gary go to one of the showers, giving the ladies some space. They get a feeling that the girls are into them and decide to score some points. As they peek out of the shower, they find Deb and Healy are gone, leaving two bigger girls behind. On their way down, the gals meet Lisa. She tells them to have a bath with Wyatt and Gary. Up next, we see Wyatt's grandparents are having dinner at a restaurant. They plan to stop by to see their grandchild after supper. On the other hand, Ian and Max are trying to hook up with Lisa. She tells them that she belongs to Wyatt and Gary only, and she does whatever they say. In the following scene, Ian and Max are apologizing to Wyatt and Gary. They ask them if they can borrow Lisa for the night. They tell them that they can't do that as their feelings for Lisa run very deep. Max offers them a deal. If they let them have a crack at Lisa, they will let them have their girlfriends, Deb and Hilly. Getting comfortable with Ian and Max, the pair share a secret with them. They then go to the same process to create a new girl. Lightning strikes the house as Wyatt presses enter, and weird things start to happen. A couple in a photograph start dancing. The kitchen turns blue. The air starts sucking everything out of the room through the chimney. The wind is so hard that it also pulls a girl and throws her out the chimney into a lake. Ian and Wyatt, being scared, are seen hidden beneath the table in Wyatt's room. After the situation is settled, though, the guys get up and see a woman standing in the dark. She turns on a light and turns out to be Lisa. She tells Gary and Wyatt in their despicable attempts to show off, they forgot to hook up the doll. Instead, the wires are connected to a nuclear missile which is on the front page of the magazine. A jet of spark passes through it. Immediately after, a nuclear missile emerges from the ground, hitting the roof. We then see Wyatt's grandparents enter the house and slamming everyone. They meet Lisa and try to call the police. Lisa freezes and puts them in the closet and later shows them to Wyatt and Gary. Lisa wants the boys to be more courageous, so she devises a plan. As she executes her scheme, a group of wild motorcyclists rush into the house. They move around the house all over the floors and start shattering everything in it. Oddly enough, a weird mutant head comes in with a chained girl and fires a gun. Other mutants start getting rowdy and harassing the guests. Lisa goes to Wyatt and Gary, who are hiding in a cabinet, and tells them to deal with the intruders. She further adds that it's a perfect chance to be a hero. They refuse to come out, and in the meantime, a beast comes in, trashes the closet, and pulls Wyatt outside. He then points for Gary to come out as well. The head mutant asks them if they are hosting the party, and he starts mocking and humiliating the pair, and everyone laughs. The freaks then grab Deb and Hilly. The boys can't tolerate it any longer. They walk up to the head mutant, and Wyatt asks him to keep their hands off the girls. Gary looks into the eyes of the beast and tells him to let go of the girls, apologize to all of the people, and gets out. He then points the gun at the weirdos' faces. The mutants let go of the ladies and leave the house. In the next scene, we see Wyatt in a room with Hilly. They talk about the weird things that happened tonight, all while Gary and Deb are having a conversation in a separate room. Deb asks Gary about his feelings for Lisa and how she would be compared to her. He tells her that she is everything he wants in a woman, but it was before he knew what he wanted. He now wants Deb, and if he could do it over again, he'd make a woman just like her. Deb smiles, and they start kissing. The next day, Chet comes back home. He sees the mess inside and starts looking for Wyatt when he comes across Gary and Deb sleeping in a room. Meanwhile, Wyatt and the Hilly are taking a nap when Chet enters the room and starts scolding his brother. He wants an explanation. Wyatt requests Chet to just let them find Lisa and she can explain everything. Everyone then goes downstairs to the kitchen. Lisa tells him the whole story, but Chet isn't believing it. He then opens up the closet to find his grandparents being immobilized inside it. Lisa then tells the boys to get the girls home, and as they leave, Lisa talks with Chet. She wants him to promise her that he'll keep his mouth shut about everything that has happened during the weekend, or else she'll make him understand the hard way. Afterwards, we see Gary driving at high speed, beating a police car in a chase. Meanwhile, Wyatt drops off Hilly to her house. They both share how they enjoyed spending the night together and start kissing. Gary makes a confession at Deb's house. He explains to her that he is not cool. He tells her to like him for what he is. The couple then start kissing, and Gary leaves for home. At the house, Lisa transforms Chet into a hideous-looking creature. He begs her to turn him back to normal. He gives his word to Lisa that he will leave Gary and Wyatt alone. She assures him he'll get back to normal in a little while. The pair returns home when they see Chet on their way, and he apologizes to both Wyatt and Gary. Afterwards, they meet Lisa inside the room. The pair explain to her how they have developed feelings for their girlfriends, so they ask Lisa if she's hurt. Lisa completely understands and replies that all she ever wanted for the boys was for them to have a great love life. She then hugs them and tells them she has to go. She blows kisses to them and vanishes into smoke. As she fades away, things start to become normal. Her magic is nullifying and Chet gets back to his human form. Wyatt's parents return from vacation. The boys greet them like nothing has happened before the weekend. The movie then comes to an end with a scene where Lisa, in her alluring outfit, asks boys in a training session to work out. The boys can't resist her beauty and fall down in admiration. She smiles admirably with that, and the movie ends. Drop a comment below letting me know how you found the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Thanks for watching, guys.